This is Larry Jordan, the host of the Digital Production Buzz. The following interview is an excerpt from a recent program. To hear the entire program, visit digitalproductionbuzz.com. Video interviews via Skype are becoming more and more frequent on television and on the web. Philip Nelson, the Senior Vice President of Strategic Development at NewTek, joins us tonight to showcase their new talk show hardware and explain what we need to know to make Skype interviews look as good as possible. Hello, Philip. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going, man?
We are really looking forward to chatting with you about this because making Skype look good is one of the things that we're all interested in. But before we talk about Skype, let's position you. How would you describe your position at NewTek?
I'm the Chief Relationship Officer, which the easiest way to describe that is that, I handle a lot of our celebrity and VIP accounts.
Well, that sounds like it's truly boring and completely uninteresting.
I like that. The celebrity accounts, it's Larry Jordan. Larry Jordan is now a celebrity.
I feel honored. Well, Mike has been a celebrity for a long time.
I think that's pretty cool.
Philip, I want to talk principally with you about the talk show hardware that NewTek just released, which connects Skype video to live productions. In fact, we're using the talk show tonight for your interview. But first, Skype is owned by Microsoft. Why is NewTek even interested in Skype?
Well, everybody needs a way to get guests into their show. I mean, we live in a world now where remote guests are very important. I mean, just like we're doing right now. And so Skype is the leader. There are over 300 million Skype users worldwide. And now with a talk show, you can have any of those 300 million guests as a guest on your show.
Okay, so now that you've shifted gears into the talk show, tell us what the talk show is.
Well, the talk show is a single rack unit broadcast interface for Skype. Very simple product. Very easy, relatively easy to set up. The only challenges you do face from time to time are IT issues. But if you can accept a Skype call, you can bring in a guest live through talk show.
Well, I will admit that we are bringing you in live through talk show because we have serial number 2. Serial number 1 went to Microsoft and serial number 2 went to us. So we're very excited about being one of the first 2 people to use the talk show. What do you like best about it? Because I have things that I don't particularly like that I want to chat with you about, but I'm going to give you a chance to set all the good stuff up first.
Well, the good stuff is it's a low latency remote guest solution. If you have a satellite uplink, you'll see on Fox News or CNN all the time where they'll toss to someone in the field, and through satellite uplink, even using hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment, there is a very long delay, and you see that a lot where they pause and they wait, and it's like, hey, this is blah, 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 I'm here at so-and-so. And so with Skype, I mean, it's very easy to get latency that is less than 200 milliseconds. So you can truly have a conversation instead of toss to someone out in the field, wait for things to catch up, and then they start talking. That's my favorite thing. And also, you can do a high-def live feed through Skype, and it looks fantastic if your system's set up correctly.
We will talk about that in just a minute. Mike, you had a question?
I'm ready for those questions.
I know. I'm going to get there, I promise.
No, we'll stay positive here before we get negative, because I have a couple questions a little bit later on, so go ahead.
Number one, I don't want to pick on you, and I definitely don't want to turn this into a tech support call because that bores everybody except the people doing a tech support call. But about 2 weeks ago, I wrote a review of the NewTek talk show that we've been using for the last 6 months. And there were 4 key areas that I had concerns about. One was the price point, because it's priced at $39.99. 2, it only supports 1 Skype call at a time. We can't have multiple calls going at once, even if we have the bandwidth. The installation, sir, needs help. And number 4, there's poor image quality and poor image scaling, which means that we're not taking advantage of the high-def picture that you talked about with Skype.
Right.
So those are my 4 knocks against it. Which ones do you want to talk about first?
You know what I love about knocks is if you can solve them, then you're now our biggest champion on the planet, right?
Absolutely correct. And we spent the money because we absolutely believe in NewTek. We absolutely believe in Skype. And what we have been disappointed in is the execution so far. But that doesn't mean that I'm against the box. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm going to save number 0.1 for the end. You know, we're doing, you know, talking about who's using these systems. We've sold thousands of these talk shows, and they're all over the world now. One of our biggest projects we're doing right now is a live television show on NBC with Neil Patrick Harris called Best Time Ever. There's a segment where they take 3 or 4 talk shows and hide them in people's houses, and they do a hidden camera karaoke segment. And it's 720p live out of their house with SDI cameras, and it really is an amazing segment. It's been one of the most popular segments on the show, and it's really, really awesome. You know, we have these in CNN, we have them, you know, in CBS affiliates and ABC affiliates and tech shows. So they are truly all over the place now. And as long as you can get a good internet connection, you can get HD. Like, I checked something on my talk show. One of the benefits of the talk show is I can see what's on your system. Like, so when I'm connected to you, I can see, are you using too much CPU on the computer? Now, you're using a talk show, so you're not. But let's say you have a guest coming in from a laptop, and you look at it, and it says they're using 90% of their CPU. You can say, hey, quit playing Minecraft, or shut down whatever's in the background because it's taking too much CPU, which drops, you know, your quality. You can see what type of connection you have. Now, in Skype is really cool because it's designed to get a video through no matter how, almost no matter how bad your internet connection is. And so what it does is there's 2 types of connections in Skype, and this is one of the problems you're having. I could see it from my system. UDP is what you want. If your firewall is set up incorrectly and it's blocking traffic on the ports that Skype needs, the way Skype works is when you call me, it goes through the general internet to connect us. And once we're connected, it tries to bypass the general connection of the internet and go straight to a UDP connection. And what that does is that's what allows you to get the 720p and the high def. But sometimes if people have firewalls or their network is set up a certain way and it will not allow that UDP connection, then it stays at a lower quality because that's all your router or whatever will allow to pass through because it's not giving us that one-to-one link. Because Skype actually does link you directly if it can. So like I checked on our system right before I ran over. I don't know if you saw me running over to my chair. We are connected on a relay. And that is one of the reasons I think you're getting the lower quality is because it's not allowing us to get that UDP connection. So to give another example of how that it's a cool, scalable thing, you know, if it didn't allow that and you didn't have the bandwidth or your router wasn't configured correctly, you would just get no picture. But because Skype is scalable and flexible, even if somebody does have a bad internet connection, it tries to still give you a picture. Which also brings me to one of the features of TalkShow, is if somebody's bandwidth drops below a certain threshold, it automatically goes to a still image and then keeps the audio quality high. So if a reporter's out in the field and something's happening, they can still be talking to the studio. So, you know, we can help you, you know, get this set up. You know, it usually involves the ports on your router or something like that. And we've actually created like a 10-page document. If you go to the talk show portion of our website, we have a document that says how to set up your network, and it's on like the 5th page as you scroll down of our talk show website. And there's a document you can download that explains UDP, it explains CPU. An example on the Neil Patrick Harris show, you know, live TV, one of the things that makes it great is the unknown. What's going to happen, that random craziness that could make it more interesting instead of just an edited segment. So I was in the control room in NBC as we were getting ready for the Neil Patrick Harris show, and we had a perfect 720p connection. It was looking great, excuse me, and all of a sudden, like 8 minutes before we're about to go live on national primetime television, their quality drops to nothing. So we're texting the engineer, and it turns out that someone, a little kid in the house, apparently was watching Netflix in another room. and it, you know, if the bandwidth goes away, what do you do? So, you know, they were texting, and it's a hidden camera thing, so they can't just go, hey, everybody, turn off your phones. But they were able to kill that Netflix feed so that our 720 came back, you know, a couple minutes before we went live to air, and they were at 720p again.
Well, let's talk.
So that's the first thing. I know you guys have had some quality issues, and I would bet money that it has to do with your network configuration, and the tips in that document could probably walk you through it, and if it can't, then our tech support can definitely help you.
Well, we will talk about that later, because so far tech support hasn't been able to help, but we will look at the document and see.
We'll get you sorted out.
But I want to switch this over, because in order for Skype to look good, we have to have the users look good. The user has to have enough bandwidth and camera and mic. Yeah. What's the minimum bandwidth that the guest needs to have, and what cameras do you recommend and what mics?
You know, the most important thing when doing a quality Skype call, you know, lighting is very important. I'm sitting here in the NewTek studio. I've got a backlight here and a key and a fill. So the lighting looks good. I've got a lavalier microphone, which I just hit, so hopefully you didn't hear too much of a pop. I've got an earpiece. This is one of the most important things, because I noticed in your studio, at first I heard an echo, which tells me you probably have speakers in your studio so you can hear the guests, right?
Correct.
So what happens is, you know, I do a lot of interviews, and I'm used to hearing a loop back, so I can even talk through a loop back. But when you're a lot of times when you have guests that have never done an interview, or they don't do interviews all the time, that echo will make them start talking really slow. I don't know if you've noticed that. So one of the things, we suggest that if you are going to do Skype calls, one thing you can do is have your guests be on headphones with a mic, which doesn't look good. So like what I have, and I'll just take it out, I've got this little earpiece, and they're cheap. You can buy them on Amazon or wherever, at any video dealer. And what that does is the way I have our talk show set up is I have our talk show feeding into a TriCaster, which is doing this virtual set behind me. So it looks all nice. I'm just sitting in front of a green screen in the NewTek studio. But, you know, I have the audio coming into my TriCaster through a network input. So it's coming in through Ethernet into my TriCaster. I have your audio going into an auxiliary output out of the TriCaster, which feeds my headpiece. So what it does is it separates the audio, so I'm not hearing myself in my headpiece. And then I have this audio coming out by itself into the talk show through the network input, or into the talk show, and so I don't hear myself in my ear, and you hear me without hearing my echo. You know, the only thing like on your end is if you both had earpieces on, you wouldn't have to have the speaker in the room. Now, one of the things that I tell people, if they are going to have a speaker in the room, make sure it's kind of far away from the mic and not very loud, but that's kind of a headache. So the best way around that is some sort of headset or an earpiece for both guests. You know, in broadcast television, most of the time they'll all have these little earpieces, but you'll see like on a lot of technology shows where people don't have, you know, you have really nice gear in your studio, but your guests may not. A lot of times they'll just have an earbuds in. If they just had earbuds in, or one earbud, it would be fine.
Is it more important to have a good quality camera or better lighting?
I would say better lighting. Because, you know, cameras today, you know, you see the demos for $500 cameras and everything looks perfect. It's because all of it's shot out in daylight. You know, so if I have good lighting and a halfway decent camera, even my webcam on my notebook can look 1,000,000 times better with a couple of lights. You know, that doesn't mean you have to go out and spend thousands of dollars on lighting. You could actually just position some lamps in your room correctly and really increase the quality of your lights.
Philip, I love talking about all this stuff, but we're going to have to let you go. Where can people go on the web to learn more about the TalkShow unit itself?
Well, before I tell you that, I'm going to tell you one thing. We read your interview, and we've done something that you're going to love.
And that is?
Starting this week, we have announced a new promo for TalkShow for $29.95. So we knocked $1,000 off the retail price.
Thank you.
And that is a special production buzz influenced promo. And it's available through the end of the year at that price. And you know, we've noticed that a lot of people want more than one, and we wanted to make that price more aggressive for those people. But if they would like more information on the TalkShow or how to properly configure their network or their settings, they can go to www.newtek.com. And
Philip Nelson is the VP of Strategic Development for NewTek. Philip, this has been a wonderful chat. Thank you so much for your time.
Philip.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Good hanging with you.
If you'd like to see more videos like this one, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. To stay connected and receive updates from The Buzz, sign up for our free weekly newsletter now. Or you can learn more about us on our website. And thanks for watching The Digital Production Buzz.